Uh, wow. Uh, my daughter came, Daddy, can you take me to practice this morning? I'm like, sure, sure. But anyway, hey, how are you, Liz Rossilli?
I am good. How are you doing, William?
I
Wulwyn
am
Porte
well.
today.
I am well. What's my name again?
Wulwyn Porte.
Okay. And what's the last one?
Porte?
Oh, okay, okay. There you go. There you go. Now
Yeah.
you're waking me up. Yeah. I'm good. I'm good. I was yawning earlier, just tired, woke up kind of early this morning to take my daughter to basketball practice and went to the gym quickly, said, I would just run to the gym and then run back to pick her up. How about I left my ignition in, I think it was, so there's 0, 1, 2, and 3 to start. I think I left it in 1 or 2 because I'm rushing when I got at the gym. I get back in the car and I go click, 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 click. I'm like, oh, and I'm cutting it really close. 8:30 practice ends. I'm in the car at 8:25 because it's 15 minutes. I was like, she wait for 10 minutes. I'm like, click, click, click. And I look at that car and say, you know what? You will start in Jesus' name. I don't care. I'm not going to ask anybody here. Click, click. I'm like, okay, she'll wait. And I think the third time, I was like, thank you, God. And I run to her school. Now, I don't know where this is going. I run to her school,
Mhm.
pick her up. But before she gets in the car, she said, Daddy, uh, my friend Natalie's car needs a jump. Can you help her? I'm like, sure. So the car that needed a jump went and gave another car a jump.
That's so funny. Yeah, you're lucky though. You're lucky.
Oh
You
man,
know.
wasn't I?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. That's one of
oh.
those. It's funny because I wrote for today. I just took notes like 2 minutes before we started, and one of the things
Uh-huh.
I wrote is what's in control and what's out of our control. Like there's certain things that are just out of our control, and one of them is sometimes your car just might not decide it wants to start, or you
I'm
know
telling you, Liz,
yeah.
Liz, it was, and I know I turned that thing off. I'm not sure, but hey, that happened. And just as you said, it was out of my control
Yeah.
and I did not trip. I sat there and said, well, when it works, it will work. I'll be okay. And it worked.
Yeah.
So you're so true. I think that's something good for us to discuss today. Things
Yeah.
outside of your control. Do you really go and lose sleep over it? No,
Or freak out,
don't
right?
freak
Or freak
out.
out,
You
or just
know,
yeah.
don't freak
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It's definitely not worth it. Your brain cells dying, and when someone is there to make it, someone is going to be passing by to help you.
Yeah.
So something is going to happen and move you out of that phase.
Yes. And
But
I think it's just like over time I've just learned not to like get freaked out by it and not let it, you know, you coming up with a solution is a better energy, something better to do
ah,
with your energy than sit there and just be like, oh my God, why did this happen? This is the worst
oh,
thing, or, but what can you do to just stay calm and come up with a reasonable solution rather than freaking out? Yeah.
mm,
So
I
I
gotta
will
write
tell
that
you
down.
what happened this week with that is that one of my clients
Mm-hmm.
ordered something a month ago, and we got the order in and got the proof back. Everything looks good, and they have an event coming up, and it was supposed to ship on Monday, and they were going to have it, by the end of this week. And Monday was when it was supposed to ship. Tuesday, they contact us to tell us that they're out of stock on Tuesday, the day after it was already supposed to ship. So, once again, it's like, okay, just stay calm. Like, it's supposed to be there for Friday, and I've also learned that you have to be in sales, you also have to be able to deliver bad news, and be able to not hide from it, not avoid it,
Yes.
not, you know, just sit there and hope that it's going to be okay.
Mm,
You have to be able to be a big enough person to say, okay, this is what's happened, but I always try to have solutions ready. I think we've talked about this in the past where, okay, before I call them and freak them out too, let's let's come up with a solution. And I did double check with them to be like, what is the date of your event again? So, and it is pushed out a little bit, which was excellent. So, um,
mm.
came up with, we got a replacement product. It's going to be there and in plenty of time, but I had to go to them and say, I just want you to know, I'm sorry. This was what was supposed to happen, and it's not going to happen like that. But
Wow.
so,
Wow.
yeah, but
Wow.
just,
Wow. So
yeah.
how have you been? We didn't see last week. I think it was a wedding. How was the wedding?
The wedding was great. I drove to New Jersey by myself.
Gotcha.
It was good, and I visited some friends up there that when I lived there, that I was good friends of mine, and that was great. And I saw people, which I'm sure is happening with you now, that you have met during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
networking, but you've never seen them in person. I mean, I have one woman who's a very good friend of mine. I talk to her every week,
Uh-huh.
and we went and met for dinner, and I realized I didn't even know how tall she was, like,
That's
and how weird it is to be like, I know you so well, but yet we've never met in person, so
you talk about that. Two things I'll say. One was met a friend, someone who I worked with online, virtually, and when he saw me, he goes, "You can't be this tall." And I was like, "Really?" He says, "No, you got a short head." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "This big head, you calling a short head?" And then I went last week Saturday, no, before last week before last Saturday. I met someone who had I don't know. We became pretty much best friends online and talking, and met her, and we're like, hey, we hugged and talked. It's such, the human connection, all this virtual, it's pretty good. It's
yeah,
not, can't knock it, but you can't beat humans. You
yeah,
can't beat us connecting. You can't beat us looking in each other's eyes and seeing those the things that make us humans, right? Because you can see sadness, you can see, but I can kind of hide it on this thing, right? I
yeah.
I can
And just the energy, the in-person energy. And so what I'm starting to do is I have a lot of clients that I've never met, like that I work with together. And some of them, yeah, they're out of state, but some of them are local,
mm-hmm.
and we just do business online and over the phone. And I'm just kind of realizing, I'm like, I've reached out to two of them this week and be like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? Like, can I take you out to lunch? Like, just as a thank you. And we've never met in person. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
So, but just making that extra effort of sending the notes, and like, why don't we meet for lunch? Like, just to say
Yes.
thank you, where things you used to always take for granted, but we've gotten out of the habit of meeting people in person.
That's true. That's true. I think that's something I'm going to put on my to-do. Why past clients, not current clients, is just, let's just go hang out, catch coffee or something, just talk. How's the business coming on? And
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah.
thing to get
I have
reconnected.
I have one who she refers me to a lot of people, like big, she's got me some really big accounts.
Uh-huh.
So I just asked her as a thank, instead of just sending her, well, I asked her as a thank you, like, can I take you out to lunch, which I think is kill, we get to meet in person, I get to buy her lunch, we get to hang
Yes.
out. It will just it will do a lot. And I think it's just a nice thing, instead of just like, I was like, what am I'll send her something. What am I going to send her? Like, just, I don't know, sometimes trying to come up with gifts is just as a
You know,
thank you almost?
so I think it's a good thing now to put out to all those who will watch this or who are watching is, hey, why don't you, what are you doing as you're pivoting back to the hybrid? Because I think you may be doing virtual and in person. What are you doing in terms of getting back out there? How are you giving your thanks and appreciation to those friends who have been behind the screen, behind the camera for so long?
Mhm.
And, just give us your input on that. That's we can all learn from it.
Right, right.
Mm,
And I think if you have, yeah, what do you, and how are you appreciating your clients? Like, what are you doing to show them? You say thank you,
mm,
but what are you doing also to appreciate them and letting them know how much they mean to you? And
mm,
I think it's so important for us to be grateful for that and to just make sure once again, we talk all the time about thank you notes, but how much a thank you note can mean to someone. So
that's true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
So what's on your plate?
Oh my
What's on your
God.
mind?
So
What's
yeah,
up with?
I think we've talked about it here, but that I got this big consulting job.
No, we didn't.
And yes, so I got asked to quote a consulting job, which is so far outside of my comfort zone that I don't even think it's in the same universe. But I've been working with them for a few weeks now, and it's going really well. But it's more on the corporate side, which is also not what I do. So
Mhm.
I've gone to a lot of meetings where I kind of sit there going like nothing is getting done. Um, I'm used to like, okay, let's meet. Like, what are we gonna
Yep.
like everyone's talking and I'm like, okay, like next steps, like what is happening here, So
Yep. Yep.
but we got through all that and it's interesting too when it's a bigger company,
Hmm.
as I was working with them, there's more and more people that they'd mentioned someone else and I didn't even, and because we're all virtual,
Hmm.
they'd be like, oh, well, Pam handles that. I'm like, I've never seen
No,
Pam.
correct.
No one's mentioned her before. And then I have to schedule a call with Pam and, you know, and
Mm,
so on and so on. So it turns out that I had to kind of they hired me for their sales process and sales
hmm.
plan but that they didn't have their marketing set and I think when you look at it, they did have two full-time marketing people in the past at different times. They had one person and then I don't know if they left or whatever, and then they had another person. So as I was working with them, all this marketing material started. They're like, oh, let me send this to you, this is what someone else did, and tons of stuff. And so, I think it goes back to, I'm always talking about the difference between marketing and sales. They had so much marketing. They had personas done, they had case studies done, they had
Wow.
like messaging done, and but they didn't do anything with it. What did they do? What did they actually do with all this information? So,
Mm,
I had to come in and kind of weed through it all and then pick and say, okay, here's a starting point. Like, what do we like? What do we don't like? And then we need to be consistent. They're talking
yes.
about, let's send out this message and see what response we get. And then we'll send out this message and see what, and they kind of want to do it. They're hoping that they'll get a good feedback from one of them. And then they can say, oh, this is what we're going to go with. And I said,
Hmm.
no, you have to pick ahead. And then you have to just it could take 8 to 20 hits or touches with that messaging before they respond. You can't just
Yeah.
at one time and think that they're going to click through because of the wording you use. It doesn't work that way. So
So a flip to that is, so there's A/B testing.
mhm,
There's A/B testing in marketing where they're not doing the identical thing in the same market.
mhm,
So if it's the Raleigh market, they will use A.
Yeah.
And then the carry market, they'll use B.
Right.
And then that's how they can know if the wording right to
Yeah.
do it, but not in the same market. You can't go and put A in Raleigh and B in Raleigh. The Raleigh will get confused about your business, right?
Right.
But beta A B, and then tweaking what the results are for A and B and make it the marketing message to go to every single place. That makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So we're done with the marketing messaging, but I feel like then we're like, okay, here's the final, like here's
Uh-huh.
the final messaging. And then they have comments. And I'm like, no, no, this is supposed to be you have to have a final. Like I trying to explain to them before we can do this, the talking points and for the phone
Mm,
calls and everything, you need to have your final messaging
correct.
set.
Correct.
So, but we're
Correct.
finally to the sales process. And so now I'm like, okay, like that was so far out of my comfort zone. Like I said, the marketing side of it, and I did it, but they wanted me to lead the calls, but not only is that not my strongest part, but then the
Hmm.
language that they use because of their industry, I don't like. I have to say, if I take out this and, like the word and, does this still make sense? Because it's so foreign to me, the whole language.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm like, I don't even know. Okay, what do you call this? Like, what wording should we? Because it's just a different, almost like a different language when
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
industry. Uh,
Yeah.
but
But
now I'm like, he's like, I need you to like really lead the calls because he wanted me to lead those calls. But I'm on these calls with like 6 men who like to talk and like to give their opinion, and these are the experts in their industry, right? So for me to come in and try to take over the call was
mm,
not going to happen. But now I'm like, now you want to talk sales? Like I'm good now. Like I can be like, okay, here's the plan, and
gotcha.
they're going to be out of their comfort zone now. Like they don't want to make calls and they don't want to, you know. So anyway, so it's an interesting. I look at it like it fell into my lap,
Hmm.
and I could have said, no, no, this is not what I do. This is really frightening,
Yes.
but it's been a great I am not sure about the learning experience, like what I am going to pull completely out of this yet, other than just taking it step by step and just believing in myself and in the process, and that that we're all humans, we're all talking to each other, and we will get through this together.
Correct.
But it's going, it's I'm excited for that. I can tell the difference in my energy now that I'm
Correct.
onto the sales side of it.
Correct. So let's unpack that. Here's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you everything I heard here, right? First thing is, to us all who are watching, we have to take a leap of faith, right? Have to take it and believe in yourself. I think we talked about this entering a room. We talked about entering a room and knowing that you're supposed to be in that room, and you own that space that you're supposed to take over. Two, the third one is, I remembered, you and I talked offline on this, and it was, should I take it? Should I not? And it was, you know what? I think I'm gonna take it. And there were certain things that you didn't know about the industry, you didn't know about the process,
Mhm.
but can you tell a mom how to take care of a baby before she gets the baby? She can study and do all of that, but when that
Yeah.
baby comes, or dads, because I'm part of it too. You couldn't tell me. You could teach me how to change the diaper. Yeah, you got to turn them. But when that thing is shooting juice out, and you're like, "Ah, oh yeah, all right." You don't have anything to do. So you learn on the job, OJT, right? On the
Yeah.
job training. So and once we are one thing I would say, and I think I can say this, it's not inside information about your engagement in here, is that you went and you gave full disclosure of who you were, what
Mhm,
your expertise
mhm,
is, and said, if you want me to do X, Y, and Z, I'm going in territory that, but I know I can do this, and they agreed. So
yeah,
there, that I think is one of the primary things, the primary task when we're going in. It reminds me of I was applying for a position, a program manager position at EMC, 2011, December 2010. It went from December 10th, no, October 2010 to January. And every single time I went, I
mhm,
said, well, I have an MBA. I have taken one course in program management,
mhm,
but I do not know the inside and outs of program management. What I do know is if a dog bites you and you tell me, go get that dog, I'm going to go and get that dog. I know I will find people where did that dog go? And I will get that dog and bring it back and we will take care of the dog.
mhm,
And there were at the end of the process when I got hired for it, so an internal hire, the general manager said, you beat out roughly 5 or 6 seasoned program managers. I'm like, oh, really? I said, wow. I said, but why? I said, well, it was your candor, it was your admittance that you don't know it,
mhm.
but you can go and find it. That's what we wanted. We didn't want the canned, oh, program management, this is how you do it. Is no. So you give full disclosure. And
Right,
when we give full disclosure, we can go and say to ourselves, we can rest assured that they know who I am. I'm not faking. And when they bring something to me now I can't answer, I will go and say, knock, knock. Remember that thing I told you about? I'm
right,
not really this thing. This is where I have to go and investigate, find out more information, and let's create a solution and move forward.
right, right. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's right, and I think it's true that if you're out of your comfort zone or it's not what you really, I think the other thing for me, the other big internal conflict was that feeling that you have to focus on your niche, you have to focus on your target market, and this was like, here's my target, and this is like over here. So I think when you're in business, you still focus on your target, you still are talking to your target, but sometimes other people are going to come in and then you make that decision like, this is not my target, but is this an opportunity that I shouldn't let go? Or
Correct.
is it going to, in some ways, this threw me so much off of my daily, like my plan, that I had to say it's worth it to just
Mhm.
kind of hold and just focus on and get done what I need to get done on my normal business, but
Yes,
not to be actively trying to push that forward. I had to kind of pause it and then
correct.
take care of this. But
Yes,
it was a big enough opportunity that I didn't want to that I was able to do that. So
excellent,
yes, yeah.
excellent. I mean, kudos. That eh, would you have gotten this had you not started Sales Savvy?
No, no. So I had met, and I think when you talk with the passion that you have and you're just talking about what you love to do and what you're doing, that's what happened. Is I was just talking to a friend about what I am starting and how excited, and I think she saw my passion, was like, maybe she can help us. Like, even though
Mm,
I was talking about, this small group of people, it didn't matter. She didn't hear that part of it. She just heard my passion
passion.
and what I can do, and that it's sales that I love. So
Ah, ah, couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it. So your I'm enjoying this thing. You know, when something is just going the right way, it's
Yeah.
meandering in the lazy river, and you see the rock, and it doesn't go to the rock; it goes around the rock. And I'm like, wow, Liz answered this question with exactly what people needed, what I needed to hear. You wouldn't have gotten this without the starting the business. Go
Mhm.
ahead and start the business, people. You wouldn't have gotten it again without speaking, because you were selling it. You didn't even know you were naturally selling it. You were passionately speaking about it. And
Mhm.
someone hears it and go, "Oh, she can help me, or he can help me." Ah, that's amazing.
Yeah, like if I had said, "Oh, I'm meeting my friend for coffee. I need to, try to get this business," like it would be a mess,
It
or
would,
just so
it,
hard. You'd be so stressed, right?
it would
So,
have been stressed.
yeah, yeah. I'm really like loving the idea of just being your authentic self
Mm,
and putting, I think that I would just say if I had one piece of advice for people, it's like put
shoot.
out your quality product, put out your best work, and they will come. Like just be yourself, put out quality work, and your business will grow.
Mm, mm. And that's the Billism for tonight, y'all. You guys, it's so great. Liz, you said the last words. Didn't even know you were saying the last words. Any other thing you want to add to that?
No, I will leave it at that.
Be your authentic self. Put out your best work. They'll come. Be yourself. So good seeing you once again, and look forward to seeing you in the next 2 weeks. You
Yes,
take
definitely.
care of yourself.
You too.
You guys take care. Bye bye.